Hey pioneers, welcome back to our GTM Shorts interview. Today we are diving into a very hot topic that is reshaping how businesses approach their markets. And our expert of the show is Ayush Poddar, a great go-to-market advisor and strategist. And he's even the brilliant mind behind the Startup GTM newsletter on Substack. So if you are keen on exploring different go-to-market motions very in detail, Ayush's insights are super invaluable from my perspective, and I can just highly recommend to follow him and to subscribe on his newsletter. Yeah, before we dive in, here's a short and quick refresher on what Go to Market Shorts is all about. Our goal is to keep it short and insightful. So each session, we invite experts like Ayush today to discuss the nuances of their fields, of the expert areas, and the impact on go-to-market strategies or the go-to-market environment in general. And today we talk about if the community-led approach is the future of go-to-market or if it's just kind of a fleeting trend, because currently I see community-led approaches over and over and over again. And I think that's quite a hot discussion. Is this super valuable topic for the future or maybe just a short-term trend? And yeah, the format is simple. So every interview lasts about 20 minutes. Ayush will have just 2 minutes to tackle each question. So we have 10 questions, 2 minutes. At the 90 seconds mark, he will get a short signal. And at 2 minutes, we will sound a beep and cutting off the discussion here, just to make it as short and engaging as possible. All right. So let's define the today's burning question. Are community-led go-to-market motions the next industry standard, or is it more a trend that will pass soon? All right. So Ayush, are you ready? Want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good. All right. Let's jump into the questions. First category, definition and difference. So what exactly is a community-led approach in a go-to-market strategy? And how does it differ from, let's say, traditional methods like inbound or outbound led? I think that's the most common things.
So, community led growth, if you define it fundamentally, it's based on we as a humans, our own inclination to be a part of the tribe. We want to be a part of the circle which is at our capacity or a level above us. Community led growth encapsulates this fundamental framework of human preferences into a go to market strategy. Whether it's inbound or outbound, you essentially need to create a safe space for your potential customers wherein they remain in touch with you. And that's what community led growth is. If those are potential customers, then it's community led growth. If those are already customers, then it's community led customer success for you.
Cool.
It's creating that space wherein people of similar stature, people of similar category, people of similar space are coming together, building a safe ecosystem around that, creating benefit for you as a business. But you are the ones who are triggering it, making it happen.
All right, cool. So as you hear, it's not either outbound or community led, either inbound or community led. It's really a part to build a safe system and environment for your customers or prospects or audience or followers to feel safe and to, doesn't matter if it's to generate more knowledge or to interact with you. Cool. All right. So let's jump on the benefit side. I think in this definition, there are already some benefits, but from your perspective, what are the primary benefits of adopting a community led strategy?
The primary benefit is you don't have to work hard to bring people again and again, to reach people again and again, because there's always a space which is your distribution channel, which is your community. Number one. Number two, you don't have to put all your efforts to create a value. Community itself creates a value for each other. For the people creates a value for each other. Number three, you don't have to limit yourself on the aspects of value creation. You can always put a new pillar, you can always take a new pillar and start creating a value around it. When I say pillar, it's either functional pillar, emotional pillar, social pillar, or a psychological pillar. Otherwise, in any of the channel, you ideally have to pick only one or two pillars. But here it can be a great combination of all the techniques that is there for retaining all the members, creating value for them, and as a benefit, not only you get a potential customers, you also get referral from the members, whether they are your potential customers or not. So one thing which I always say is people do hear about getting referral from customers. I say community led growth can actually get referral from potential customers.
Cool, cool. So that means when you do it right, then at the end, community-led can always guide to a slightly partner-led approach as well, because you have your referrals already internally that will refer you and will be a multiplicator for you. That's cool. Okay.
So either you get a customer or you get a referral. It's not
Yeah,
like you don't get anything, but you should
yeah.
be doing it well.
So let's go to the next category, success stories. Can you cite any industries or specific categories and products where a community-led strategy was succeeding?
So if you look at the historical success stories majorly on community led growth, number one is within the deep tech products. So if you look at, there are open source products out there, there are developer communities out there. So the companies who are supporting those, they always get the fruits of those. Because number one, people as a developer, they do prefer to create that cohesive community. They do like to interact with each other, and that's where that community always has a value. Number two, the companies who are extremely big, who has that money to invest in community led growth, they have seen fruits with it. You pick Salesforce, you pick HubSpot, you pick Airbnb, you pick Pepper Content. There are a lot of companies out there which have built Sonatype. Again, Derek Weeks, he has built that community. So there are a lot of communities which has seen success stories, which has seen light of the day, primarily because of the leadership who has believed in that community initiatives.
Cool.
It
So
doesn't work on month ROI.
yeah. Okay. But that means that with the examples you shared, that means, and I think that's very, very important, even though it's kind of a trend that we talk more often about it, but it's nothing new because all the stuff you're talking about, let's say the first open source tech environments, all of them were and are still community led, and this is 30 years old. So it's nothing super new, but it's maybe more relevant than ever, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next category, challenges. So, what are the key challenges of a community led strategy and how can companies overcome them?
So number one challenge is to keep a balance between being salesy and being value creator. As a company, you always feel that, hey, if I have 100 members, let's start selling them. It doesn't work like that. It works on a layers of trust. So the first challenge is the mental challenge. When you are building community, adopting community led growth, you have to make sure that people should come to you to inquire about what you are doing rather than you are going and talking about it. Number one challenge. Number two challenge, the leadership challenges. Your leadership is having its own goals and milestones from the community initiative. So someone who is planning community initiatives, they have to keep everyone on the same page. The third challenge is, I would say, more of a dark funnel challenge, because you can't link an output or a metrics from community initiatives to a business goal. I'm typically calling it from a business perspective right now, because founders, investors, leadership, they all look at these things. So when you can't link your community metrics with the business metrics, there's always a question mark. So essentially, as a person, one has to figure out a way that, hey, if my 10 members are active, there's a high chance that I would get either a referral or an inbound query from two of them. That kind of predictability needs to be there. The fourth challenge being deciding what would engage my audience, deciding how I would convert my active members to my loyal advocates, deciding how would I activate my acquiring members and how I would acquire new members. So it's an entire game plan that itself works like a product. So your community is also a product, also a service that is creating a value.
Cool. All right. That was interesting. So I think there are a lot of challenges, and but it's not. So it's more about our even the own point of view and our mental perspective. How do we see it? And it's not okay, go up to 100 short-term sales, go back to outbound game like we know it from the previous 20 years. So it's really a different lead motion, and even though the way of doing it, the way of thinking about it needs to be different as well here. So we have to adapt our culture there as well. Cool.
Yeah,
The customer impact, there we had already some parts like the referral part. But how does community involvement influence customer acquisition and retention compared to, yeah, conventional cold calling tactics, as an example?
sure. So if you look at the typical benefits or typical impact, I always map it with my customer journey. My customer journey before a sales is made and my customer journey after a sales is made. When I say customer journey before a sales is made, it's about a matter of awareness, matter about showing an interest, matter about having consideration, matter about having negotiation and closure. What happens is, across all these stages, customer led growth creates a value for you and for your customer. Take a simple example. If I am having a community of my product, which I'm building on certain theme that is linked to my customer problems, at a first go, I would put a CTA to my community. That means I'm not selling anything. I'm creating a value. So for anyone, it's real easy to join my community. Even if I'll share the discussions that is happening in my community, it's a value creation for them. Second part, if they are in touch with me, they are considering me, I can always send an invite to come and join my community initiatives, to come and be a part of as a guest speaker in my community initiative. I have people who would listen to you. I have people who can create a personal brand for you. That means I can create a value for my prospective buyer through that community. Number third, when they're evaluating me, I can always invite them to my community and show how happy my community members are, how happy my customers are. Post post sales, I can always engage them in private conversations in the community. I can always take them outside as my community enthusiast and make it as an example wherein they would get a brand value and I would get a testimonial and a good customer story in front of the market.
Cool, cool. I think this is very correlating to our next category, customer loyalty, because we talked already a bit about post sales, but maybe now we have two another minutes to talk about this loyalty part, because I think acquisition, especially when it's not a short term new customer channel, and maybe even though not so predictable, but on long term run, this could be, I can imagine this could be one of the most or the biggest values on community led customer loyalty part. So, do community led strategies foster deeper loyalty and advocacy? And how does this impact business growth from your perspective or your
So
experience?
my take on that is it totally depends upon the kind of activities a community owner is planning, a leader community leader is planning. If they are planning certain activities to engage the existing customers, definitely it would drive loyalty. So what kind of initiatives can drive a customer loyalty? You have to answer what kind of other values I can create apart from my existing product which is already creating a value. Number one, help them build a brand. Number two, help them spread their own thought leadership. Number three, showcase them as a thought leader. Number four, help them connect with new people. If you do all these three to four things actually for your current customers and leverage your existing community members who has not paid you anything to also be a part of that value creation, because they would also get a value from it, it creates that cycle, creates a circular loop wherein existing customers will become loyal and prospective customers would be nurtured.
Cool. All right. So let's move to the technology side. So technology's role. What role does technology play in facilitating and scaling community-led strategy? So maybe you have even though any tools or platforms you recommend. So as we said, your own newsletter is on Substack. So maybe this is one part of it. But so are there any technology drivers from the perspective?
There are always technology drivers to scale things, but I would always say that a human can't be replaced in a community initiatives because it's a tribe, it's a social circle, and social circle isn't driven by a computer or a robot. So a human is a driver, but yes, for scaling to people, for communicating personally to every member, for identifying who is active, who is not active, for making it seamless for community members, you need a technology. So every workflow, when you are acquiring new member, when you are activating them, when you have to send a sequence of emails to them, when you have to plan multiple activities, you need separate tools for everything. That's where, but fundamentally what you need to answer is, where do you build your community? The most important question that I get from everyone is, can I have my own community? My first answer is, do you have a loyal following of users? They say no. Then why the hell people would come to you? So you have to create a community to a place where people are already existing. That is, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Slack, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Discord, where your community is already existing. Because for them, it's like adding another community in their workflow. But why would they come to your own platform? You are not HubSpot, you are not Salesforce. So
Yeah.
when you use those platforms, then you use those technology drivers to, for example, for Slack there are multiple, like Meet Waves is there. Earlier there was Common Room, but now Common Room has pivoted. Earlier there are multiple platforms, or for WhatsApp there's a super what list which helps you in community management. There are other platforms. So yes, and then you have to identify the initiatives, and then you have to identify a tool for that.
Cool. Cool. All right. So it's not driven by technology. Technology is supporting you, but it needs to be driven by yourself, by your own brand, by the connection and the relationship you can build with your peers, right? So that's the point here.
It's a
Cool.
facilitator, not a driver.
Yeah. All right, three questions to go. Case studies. Could you share examples of companies, and I don't mean from the past, so it's more from really your personal experience, and you don't have to name the companies, but that excel with community-led strategies. So, what lessons can we learn from the success or failure? So, do you have any best practices, or even though worst practices, even though this can be the case?
So the best practice is what I normally follow, where because for last 8 years I have been either building communities for my own startups, or I have been helping the companies I'm advising to build their own communities. The first thing that I do is do the pilot of community before public launch. When I say do a pilot of the community, identify 30 people from your network and friend of friends who can be a part of that group, wherein you can create a value for those 30 people before you create a value for first 100 people. If those 30 people can engage with you, if those 30 people can come on your community events, can be aligned with your community content, that means you're following the right path. That is number one, best practice. Number two, best practice is always check how's the community feeling. So one thing that I always tell people is, just message everyone in the community. If 10% of people are replying to you, that means you are building a good community. People 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 are still remembering you. Number three, the best practice is always plan something as a variation of the activity. So it's not like you're posting content on a daily basis and that's only the part of the community. Plan something which is a different variation and different purpose. So some things for functional needs, something for social needs, something for emotional needs, something for psychological needs. So just like you are planning a short newsletter and a long newsletter, because it's a variation in it, it creates that level of freshness. And
Yeah.
fifth thing, the best practice is always focus on rewards and recognition.
Okay.
Recognize those who are
30
highly
seconds.
active. Go and shout out in public that, hey, these are 5 people who are standing with me. Come and be a part of my tribe. That's what will lead to the network effect.
Cool. All right. So let's go more into the future. So, and even the backwards to our intro hypothesis and main question. So, looking ahead, do you see community-led strategies becoming the norm across industries, or will they remain a niche? And what factors will influence their adoption?
So there are two parts to it. One is when I would say retention, and one is I would say acquisition. In future, retention is going to be the biggest challenge, because as new products are coming up, the life cycle of creating products is reducing on a day-to-day basis. Today AI can create product, that means there is no dearth of products that are going to come and create a value. What is going to be scarce is the human connection and the relationship between people. And that's where anyone who is having community will always have the preference from the other one who is just a plain product creating a commoditized value. because the value creation that a community has is 10x than the product itself. So communities is and will be important to retain your customers and have that loyal following with you. Number one. Number two, when you have that loyal following with you, anyone who is looking forward to a new product, today he's evaluating five products, tomorrow he will be evaluating 100 products because tomorrow AI can also generate products. He would also go somewhere wherever human inclusion is there. He would not go to a robot to purchase a product. He would go to a human and go to a group of people wherein he can learn something new. He can also be a part of something different. He can also get more value from not just the product but also the people behind it. So that is going to be the future. So in future you will have micro communities related to every product that is linked to existing customers and prospective customers who are aligned to your problem thesis, and you make it exclusive.
Cool. So, Ayush, I've learned so much today, and I think especially the last words are very correlating to a study I've seen from Gartner. More than 80% of people that are looking for a new provider, solution, service, whatever it is, start with their peers. They ask their colleagues in their communities, they are their friends, their neighbors, whatever it is. Doesn't matter if it's B2B or B2C, and that's super relevant for us because I think that the main point here is exactly there are tons of products and services out there that have a similar positioning. You can't squeeze through the dust anymore. Outbound and inbound is super loud, so it's crowded, and therefore you go more in safe spaces in the future, and therefore community that is super promising. But there are even the challenges, and it's not a short-term topic. It's not super easily predictable like the normal number game we have in, let's say, the startup environment. And things like cultural and mental adoption, consistency in the game is something that is tougher than it seems maybe at the beginning, because when you see a well-performing micro community, maybe you think, hey, I want to do the same, and go for it. Maybe it's very promising, but don't accept that you will have the first results in 2 weeks. So that's not possible here. So that's super valuable from my perspective. So community led will be one standard in the future. I think it's a very important motion. Will be not the only one, obviously, but we need to cover it if you want to be highly successful on the long run, especially for customer loyalty and to retention game. Cool. Anything you want to add to summarize or promote for yourself? So this is now your stage. So anything you would like to adjust and to add, feel free.
So I have only couple of points to make. Number one is go to market is evolving. It's not just plain sequential step one, two, three, four. Because if
Yeah,
it would be just step one, two, three, four, everyone would be winning. Not everyone is winning today because it's entirely based on trust. It's entirely based on human fundamentals today. Are people talking about you? Do you have authority? Do you have credibility? Can you actually be consistent with the promises that you are making, and couple of other things? So it's a multi-touch point go-to-market strategy right now. So hype don't come into a mistake that, hey, I would follow these three steps and I would start getting leads. No, it doesn't work like that. You would eventually waste your time. And that's where you can also read my newsletter strategy GTM, where I have discussed about multiple strategies that you need to put in play. It's not like you have to invest all your energy. You have to just be smart. Things will start falling in place. And test with number of people. Make them your value creators. Create value through them. Invite their friend of friend and go to their circle. That's a logical path of extension. Why do you need to raise a couple of $1 million to just burn on paid ads and then get a value from it?
cool. Really like this. Even though the bootstrapping part, and even though the iterative part, lean startup, as we all know it from everybody's. And even though to treat go-to-market more like a product, we need to be agile, we need to be adaptable. Go-to-market today will not be the same than go-to-market in the future, and that's something we need to have in mind. Cool. Ayush, thanks for your time. It was a pleasure. I bet we will do some other collaborative stuff in the future as well. I
Sure,
will.
it would
I
be a
wish you all the
pleasure. I look
best,
forward
and
to it.
yeah, it was cool. See you.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace.